Tell us about appreciation and play, and what have you learned about that particular team defining moment? You work with so many teams. How do you develop connectedness in that?
I've been very fortunate, as you mentioned, to work with a lot of different teams along my journey, and especially working for some very motivational leaders. And I think it all starts with recognizing the importance of connectedness and teamwork in achieving your goals and the goals of your organization. A team that is connected and that has a relationship that is built with a foundation of trust and transparency and collaboration is going to be the most successful team. There's always going to be things that may try to shake us, and I think all of us as leaders at some point have had that inkling to have a knee-jerk reaction or to do something perhaps that leans into the negative. But over time, it's very important that we as leaders understand that sometimes our most important role is creation of that culture, nurturing that culture, and also keeping a steady hand on the wheel during challenging times. The reason that appreciation and celebration and play are so important is because often these can be catalysts for performance and for creation of this culture. I think it's really incredible when you think about it. It takes just a moment to recognize your appreciation for someone. Even just this week, I've sent multiple notes of appreciation to people for things that they've done to go above and beyond the call of duty. I've copied in their leader and their skip level in some cases to let them know how much I appreciated them. It was Maya Angelou that once said that people are going to, at the end of the day, people are not going to remember what you said or did necessarily, but they'll always remember how you made them feel. And I believe that's extremely important, especially as we're looking as leaders to create that culture of connectedness. The last thing I would say, as far as incorporating even play into work, I always think of Mary Poppins. I've seen it many, many times and now watched it with my children. And for every job that must be done, there is an element of fun. And if you find the fun, the job's a game. And if you look at the ways we spend so much of our time working, and sometimes we spend more time with the people that we work with and for than our spouse, than our kids, unfortunately, sometimes, right? So finding the way to inject fun into what you do, finding ways to enjoy the time that you have together and to get to know each other on a more personal level. I can't tell you how important it is to make deposits into those relationships that are positive. I can tell you all of the fun times that I've spent time with my past teams in escape rooms or doing different games where we were asking questions and we were getting to know each other on a personal level. Those are the types of relationships that transcend results, because at the end of the day, results are all about people following the right process.
Beautiful. I love Mary Poppins. Then work becomes play, and yeah, we're here for so much time. So much time. I want to dive a little bit into the disconnection part of this. So think about what happens and what has happened in your life and leadership of teams and of yourself when you are not appreciating yourself, when you're not appreciating yourself. Like, what happens instead, and how do you get yourself and others out of that zone?
So the disconnection is very easy to happen. I want to make that very clear, because I think it's happened to all of us at some point in time, and it's incumbent upon us as leaders to identify when it happens and why. The disconnect can often happen when we don't meet our team where they need to be met, or we don't understand their why or their purpose, or we don't understand what truly matters to them. One of the foundational things that I do when I start working with a new team is I'll survey them. And I use that time to really understand roles that they may want to play in the team and in the broader organization. Some of them really enjoy like celebrating birthdays or doing different things around recognition. I always encourage my team to meet without me, have players only conversations, and then have someone be a spokesperson that can tell me some of the things that might have come out of that, that would be tangible things that I can sink my teeth into and help make better. If there's issues that I can remediate. Furthermore, a lot of times disconnection happens when we get caught up in the day to day. We all get pulled in so many different directions. It's very easy to get swept up in sometimes minutia, sometimes administrative tasks, and sometimes in the challenges that befall the organization or changes. I've worked in environments before where leadership critiques or micromanagement often overshadowed the achievements that were happening. But it takes just a moment to recognize someone. It takes just a moment to send a note of thanks or appreciation. Why do we wait sometimes for awards to be announced? Why not create our own awards? Some of the best things that my team and I have ever done is, we created our own set of awards at the end of a fiscal year or at the end of a quarter. Some of them were even silly, things to get people to laugh about and to really just get everybody involved and engaged. And even in the most challenging of circumstances, you can find something very positive. And I want to share a personal story. I had someone on one of my other podcasts last year, Anthony Iannarino, a great sales author. And he shared with me this exercise that he did. It was a 2-week gratitude journey. And so basically it was a gratitude journaling experience that he did. And statistically speaking, the effects of doing this challenge, this exercise, is proven to be better for your well-being than any stimulant. And here's why. So basically over a period of 2 weeks, and you can go longer, you write down 3 things every single day. You can write more that happened that were good. And then very importantly, why they happened. I found myself, when I look back on this adventure, the worst days that I had the most positive things written. And the most powerful thing that spoke to me, Hilko, was that the reasons why these things happened, in some cases, they were things that I had planted the seed for years ago. You see, you're given an opportunity every day to invest in relationships, invest in yourself, and even just make the choice to err on the side of the positive or the optimal or the appreciation. That's the decision that you're going to have to make time and time again in order to eradicate that disconnect.
I love that. I love that. That real sense of, I hear choicefulness in that. Like I hear choicefulness. How do you make that choice? How do you make that choice to, as a leader, to step out of maybe where you don't want to be, that?
Yeah.
And how do you step into that? How do you make that choice?
You have to want it, and it has to be core to who you are and what you believe. See, I realized long ago as a leader, it's not about me. And I wish I had realized that sooner. In my 20s, like many, I was very ego driven, and how high can I go? How far up the corporate ladder can I climb? Because that was the pressure that I felt was on me. But as I've aged and gotten a little bit more experience, I've realized we're not meant to be the hero. We're the hero makers. We exist to go out and find people that we can put into positions to win. If you help elevate everyone around you and you help everyone around you win, guess what? You're going to win too. And that is all the more fulfilling when you can take all these people on the journey with you. I'll tell you another personal story, and this reminds me of years ago. I was working in a call center, and we made very conscious decisions about how we worked different markets. We had a charter. We had 800 different campaigns that we had to run per year. And it was up to my team and I to kind of time them throughout the month and throughout the year. We were having a really tough month. We would really typically call on our really lucrative leads mid-month. And we were having a really challenging month. And I remember there were a few days where I was erring on the side of negative. I was pointing out, hey, we're not doing well here. This isn't good enough. Or team, I expect more. But I will tell you that what turned us around was when I decided to put my steady hand back on the wheel, recalibrated as a leader, realized that we were all people. We wanted to be successful. I believed that. This was a team we built. We put these people in a position because they earn the right to be in that position. It's not up to us as leaders to tell them how to do the job. It's up to us to make sure that they have the support and the structure and the tools to be successful. And we just turned it around. I literally that day was prancing around the office with a jukebox or a jam box playing Don't Stop Believin' by Journey. And we were celebrating. We were talking about all the people in our morning stand-up that were doing well up to that point, and cheering and clapping and hearing from them on why. And we got a standing ovation that morning. We had the best day of the month, and we weren't even calling on the best leads yet. My point is, starts with you as a leader. You have to make the conscious decision to create that environment, that atmosphere of celebration and play. Once you make that conscious decision, execute that. And even when it doesn't work exactly the way you want, it doesn't mean you go back to that comfortable way of mediocrity that wasn't working. It means that you embrace it, you tweak it, you make sure you bring others on the journey with you. That's what ensures success. That's what continues to invest in the culture that you seek.
I want to know, Carson, the culture you seek. I like how you're talking about this in a group setting, like how you're creating that in a group setting and how you're really helping to make that come alive. And I'm curious, how do you do that with yourself? How do you create an atmosphere of appreciation with yourself? Because it's so easy to lose that. Like it's so easy to lose that.
That's a good question. And at the end of the day, Hilka, it comes back to what is fueling you? What is your purpose? And as hard as it can be sometimes, you have to recenter yourself and you have to go back to your why and to your purpose. I've had a lot of, I would say, very challenging setbacks in my life and in my career. And there have absolutely been times where, hey, I'm tired. Is this worth everything that I'm throwing into it? Is this going to have the outcome that I want? But I will tell you that if you invest in yourself, your learning, your growth, and it's not even just about positivity, it's just about being the optimal version of yourself, looking for the people that you need or would want relationships with, looking for the knowledge or the learning that is out there that you want that perhaps you don't have. Those are the types of things that ultimately will fuel you. Now, I think everybody comes to the table with their own set of different motivations, different why. Some people are very money motivated, some are career focused, some want to feed their families, some want to leave a legacy. And I think at the end of the day, like, I know my motivations have changed a lot over the years. All of us will change considerably over the years. But as you said, it starts with self and understanding that importance of being connected to what matters truly to me. I realized a long time ago that, especially as a sales professional, as a leader, I never wanted a number next to my name that wasn't indicative of my absolute best. Even if that meant that I failed, even if that meant that I went down swinging and fell up short, I wanted to at least be able to look back on the sum of the parts, my body of work, and say, hey, that was the best I could have done. And I can live with that. And that's what I always tell people, sellers, career professionals. If you can look back on what you did in a day, month, quarter, year, and you know that you did your best, you can live with that. And I know personally that I'm very proud of what I've done. I've always left it all on the field. Some days, some months, some years didn't look the way that I wanted, but that's okay because I did the best I could. I learned from it and I take that forward. That's how you take your snowball and turn it into an avalanche because you continue to gain momentum, experiences, relationships, knowledge. Those are the things that will propel you forward. And there's nothing that will ever stop me from wanting to learn and serve more.
There's nothing that will stop me from wanting to learn and serve more. And I hear a deep appreciation in you Carson, for your potential and the potential of others. We're going to take a short break in